Okay, CVs that stand out. It's never been more important to have a CV that really sells you, especially in these challenging times. Recruiters, given the high volume of applications they're getting for any post, are doing a lot of their first sift for interviews on the CV alone. So it's really important that yours is really going to work for you at that stage. Now, there's three things you can think about in terms of your CV. Firstly, that you have killer content. Secondly, that you have perfect presentation. And number three is that you make sure that you absolutely match the criteria, that your CV aligns in with the criteria for the role. So let's talk a bit about killer content. Firstly, you need a very compelling opening profile. This is your professional profile that talks about you and your experiences and your skills. You must be able to grip the reader within those first 7 or 8 seconds. It's really important that you do that. Otherwise, they won't read on to the rest of your CV. So make sure that opening profile really markets you at your best. You then move on to your skills and competencies section. It's really important that you identify 5 or 6 key competencies that are peculiar to you. What you need to do is not just bullet point them, but also evidence them. So if you're talking about teamwork, you also need to evidence where you've gained that experience and what makes you a really strong team worker. You then move on to talk about your career profile. You need to detail the roles you've had, the positions you've held, and the companies you've worked for. And you need to make sure that what you detail under those is your achievements within that role. You then move on to talk about your education and any interests. Really important to tell them a little bit about any interests you have and any volunteer work you might be involved in. Important to give potential employers a flavour of you as an individual. Also references, really important that you put down some references. Employers will be interested in the quality of people who are prepared to talk about the work you've done. Moving on then to perfect presentation. Very important to make sure that your document is professionally proofed, punctuation, spelling, grammar is all correct, that it's nicely spaced out. Don't kill it with bullet points. Also, I'm going to just blow the myth here now about the 2-page CV. Your CV does not need to be on 2 pages unless the recruiter has specifically asked for a 1 or 2-page CV. It's okay for you to spread your CV across 3 or 4 pages. The main purpose of the CV is to market your experience and skills. And in fact, some CVs can go on for 7 or 8 pages, but generally on average, we're talking about a 3-4 page CV. Make sure that the grammar's good, the punctuation, the spelling's good, and make sure that it's presented in a professional font. So something like Arial or Verdana, 11 or 12 size font. Once you've got that perfect presentation, you then need to make sure that your CV is closely aligned to the criteria of the role you're applying for. So if the role you're applying for is asking for teamwork and communication skills, make sure that you've actually detailed those in your CV. When all that's finished, you then need to finish off with a cover letter or a covering email. This needs to be killer content, not filler content. So again, in that cover email, you need to detail the criteria of the role you're applying for and how you meet that. So 3 things to work on. Make sure you've got the killer content, make sure that you've got the presentation, and make sure that you've matched it to the criteria.